and thank you for tuning in to our very first episode of the Graceology Podcast. This episode is called 000 because it's not really an episode, it's more of a description of what this podcast is about. My name is Jeff Neu. I'm one of the staff pastors for Grace Church of Laverne, located in Laverne, California, which is in Southern California. And this podcast is to be associated with our church, but to be its own entity in itself. And the reason we're calling it the Graceology Podcast is not to just be a play off of the name of our church, which is Grace Church, but to really slow down and think about different topics, both theologically and culturally, through the lens of grace. If you break down Graceology, it means the study of grace. And what we know is that the people who wrote the Bible, they consistently describe God's character as compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, overflowing with loyal love and faithfulness. And so we want to figure out what that means. And this is not going to be a podcast full of Bible studies where we are going to do word studies and break things down into the Greek and the Hebrew of what is grace. But we are going to look through the lens of grace as modeled by God and by Jesus Christ through the way we see things in the world. So some of the things that we know about grace is that grace is a gift, and it's usually motivated by delight. Someone gives grace or shows grace to someone because it brings them some joy, some delight. You may have heard that grace is getting what we don't deserve. That's a pretty simple way to say it. But it's also receiving favor. If you were to receive grace, you're receiving favor from someone because it is a generous gift. So I don't want to spend too much more time talking about grace. I just want to say thank you for tuning in for the Graceology Podcast, and we hope that you enjoy it. You are welcome to send any questions or comments or thoughts our way. You can throw them in the comment section, or you can message us. You can find all of our contact information in the description of this podcast. Happy listening.